Evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the November 1st meeting of the Ware Board of Selectmen's meeting. Will everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item would be public comment.
Name's Eldon Towns, 111 Huntington Hill Road. I'd like to pass out a butters list. This is about the property that's being purchased by the Conservation Commission. I'd like that noted for the record.
Thank you.
I'd like the Board of Selectmen to consider the following concerns and questions before any vote is taken on the purchase of 487 Stark Highway. I've got them here as well. You guys can pencil over them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'd like those noted for the record too. So the first one is to note the abutters of the property of 487 North Stark Highway. Next one is the missing agenda and minutes for the October 13th conservation meeting. There's nothing on the town website. There's only a YouTube recording that exists, and from what I understand, that's not a legal minute. So normal practice during COVID, I've seen that the Conservation Commission has posted every agenda and minute, even the October 27th meeting that happened just recently. I have a question of who approached who about the purchase of the property. How did the $300,000 price tag be determined, and was there a negotiation on it? Who presented this property to purchase to the Board of Selectmen, and who presented comparable land values in an effort to waive a proper third-party, non-biased appraisal? Who presented surrounded property surveys to help depict boundaries? And I'd like to know if the title company is satisfied without the requested survey that they requested. I bring that up because of the poor farm road and conservation land boundary dispute that I found in the minutes. I would just be wondering why we would be waiving a survey before we even decide to waive an appraisal when you have a boundary dispute going on right now. I'd like to know who signed the contingency put in place by Jack Meany to secure a yes vote, and was any Board of Selectmen member aware of the butters list and conflict of interest? What are the benefits to the abutters if the land is placed into conservation? Is it considered favorable in a real estate market for abutters? New Hampshire Code of Ethics state any elected official or member of a board or committee must disqualify themselves from any discussion, hearing, and voting on the matter of conflict. Does this mean any and all information talked and voted on to this day be disqualified? And what standards and examples is the board ready to set? The contingency set in place by Selectmen Mtg, particularly number 3, that I did like, that was a very good contingency, that the town has the right to any and all resources on the land, including timber. I believe his wording was except timber. but the Conservation Commission wanted to scratch that out, put including. This violates, this number 3 contingency violates the state statute RSA 36-A:2, which states, "A city or town which accepts the provisions of this chapter may establish a conservation commission, hereinafter called the Commission, for the proper utilization and protection of the natural resources and for the protection of watershed resources of said city or town." Basically, the conservation money cannot be spent to buy property for the use and permitting of alteration of terrain, meaning gravel pit. Chairman Fulton also stated this on October 27th. Once the property is purchased, I want you to think about this, once it's purchased with conservation money, and you have that contingency in place, by state statute, RSA 36A:2, I don't know how the state will not give the town an alteration of terrain permit that will be needed to mine the gravel. So, Selectman Meany, it would be impossible to give a yes vote, given this clear conflict and violation of the RSA. The November 3rd public hearing on this purchase should be tabled for obvious conflicting matters with the RSA 36A:2 and in obtaining an alteration of terrain permit from the state of New Hampshire. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Frank? For me?
Public comment.
To step up and make a public comment.
Is there someone else?
Mr. Campana has already started.
He's deferred to you, Gina.
What's that?
Someone else can go. I may
Okay.
as well go until the next meeting. Hello, Gina Green, 137 Concord Stage Road. I just ran down. I have nothing written or planned. I have sent emails and I was dealing with Kelly Dearborn. She's no longer here, so then I did write all the selectmen an email. I can read that to you. That's the only thing I really have. I didn't know there was a meeting this evening. Let me get that up. It's about the variance that was granted for 139 Concord Stage Road. No, I can't find my email. There we go. Good morning, Gina and Thomas Green, 137 Concord Stage Road. We abut the property that was sold to Walter Gates and Robin Hool, 139 Concord Stage Road. The variance was allowed, I believe, about 3 years ago. We were at the meeting to vote against the variance. It was granted anyway. There were conditions to be met, which they have not met yet, and their selling point for the variance was their property would enhance ours. Has anyone been down the road in the past 3 years? It would be worth your drive down. There was a mobile home, old barbecues, several junk vehicles back there. It's almost like a junkyard. People that walk down to the conservation land stop by the house and say, "What's happened out back?" I had been conversing with Kelly Dearborn Luce. I believe she's no longer there, but was told their variance was granted an extension. We did not receive any information about this, which I believe that's something we should have been made aware of, and we know about the property. Now, for the past 6 months, someone has been living out back in the trailer. I had emailed Kelly Dearborn again, which I did not know. She's no longer works there. And I have sent 2 voicemails to Naomi, which no one has gotten back to me. So it's my understanding also that it is not a residence out back and no one is supposed to be living there, correct? The person unknown, I don't even know who are they in conjunction with the owners? Are they not with the owners? I have called the Ware police. They say this is a town issue, so I would like someone to address this immediately. We've been living here for 23 years and abide by the rules. Others in the town officials should do the same. The person comes in and out at all hours of the night, disrupts our household. It would be different if there was a home out back. And we know, okay, that's them going back and forth to their home. And that was one of the stipulations of the variance, was to widen the driveway. I don't know what's going to happen when the winter comes, because my husband plows and that blocks the area, and I don't even know how someone's living out back. Where is the waste going? How are they heating their place? And it's not a legal residence. I hope you understand our frustration and urgency in this matter. I would like this to be addressed and have someone get back to me. My son is home daily. He works from home. There's 2 or 3 other vehicles going in and out in the morning. They stay there, then they come out. There's so much traffic in and out of there. I don't know, are they drug addicts? My son's home alone. He is 21 years old, but I don't know what's going on back there. So I asked the Ware police, can you just go check it out? No, it's not our job. So I'm at my wit's end. I'm very upset. They were supposed to enhance our property, and we didn't want the variance. I don't even know where Walter is. I haven't seen Walter Gates. We don't even see the owners. I tried to message her on Facebook, Robin Howe, whatever her name is. They were there a few years ago, clearing the property. They did light a big fire. The fire marshal came. They had wood on the side. I mean, it's just been one thing after another. I know that's neighbors, we're not perfect either. But there's people living back there. It's a junkyard. It's disgusting. This is our town. You people work for me. I don't want this going on in my household, near my children, my dogs, people driving in, and she looks all cracked up. I don't even know who the girl is. So I'm very upset, and I'm sorry if I'm having my emotions right now, but I've been emailing, like I said, since June, no correspondence, and it needs to stop, or it needs to be looked into. Now, there's several other vehicles going in and out of there all hours of the night. It's not a legal residence. They haven't even complied with their variance. Widening the road, doing this, doing that, whatever. They're not going to do it. So this is my frustration, and I would like it addressed. Do you have any questions? No. So what's going to be the resolution of it?
We'll look into it
When?
as soon as we can.
Okay, because it's already too late. Okay, my dog is there, the people come in. I don't want this person, she looks like she's on drugs. So that's my concern. Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? Frank was ahead of you, Ricky.
Go ahead, Frank.
Okay, Ricky, he's deferring to you.
Yeah, I'm here to speak about that land purchase you guys are thinking of. And I don't know how you guys can buy a piece of land that has not been surveyed.
It's surveyed.
It is?
Yep, I could tell you that. That much we'll comment on. It has been surveyed, and there was a survey on file with the Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds.
Okay. And the other thing is, too, is I'm just going like, it's kind of, to spend $300,000 on a piece of land, and you have a certain little committee that's spending our money, I don't think that's right. I think it should go to a vote for the people of the town, instead of having 5 or 6 people say, oh, okay, let's buy that land. I mean, let's be serious. It's taking it out of the tax base. Everybody says it doesn't affect us, but it does. Makes our taxes go up when you take a piece of land out of, off the base. So, like I said, I think it should be to the vote of the town and the will of the people to see if they want to buy that land, not just a certain number, special interests or whatever that, buying that property. I understand we have the Conservation Committee, this, that, and the other thing, but then there you go. You only got 5 or 6 people on it, and and then they're making the decision for the whole town, which I don't think is fair. I think the town should be able to vote. If they want the piece of property, fine. And if they don't, however the vote comes out. But it shouldn't be led up to just a certain amount of people. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, thank you, Ricky. Tom?
Two things. First of all, the lady who spoke about the property on Concord Stage Road, I can just confirm what she said, that it's really junk back there, and I think that, I know that the area that was originally a logging landing site, when the logging was done now, there, it's used pretty frequently with off-road vehicles, like a little racetrack they've made there, and it's coming from the same house. So there definitely is an abuse of the permission that was given, although I don't know any of the details of it. But I do walk out there a lot, so I can see the mess and how it's used. So that's nothing I came to speak about, but just to confirm what she was saying. The other thing, I don't know where you are on that decision on the land. I've made a point of how much it could cost if it's developed. It could easily cost, just in educational costs alone, if 15 houses go in there and one child per house, it's going to end up costing the taxpayers well over $200,000 a year in educational costs. But and I've already told you that. There was an article in the Concord Monitor about a week ago, and I'm just going to read the first paragraph because from a conservation point of view, forest conversion and fragmentation continues at a rapid pace. Loss of forested areas poses a growing threat to the integrity of the nation's natural resources. Experts predict that at current rates, New England will lose 1.2 million acres of forest by 2060, along with 19% of its climate change fighting carbon storage capacity. So there are two sides to this. It's like what it does to the environment if the forest disappears, and the other is truly what it does to the expenses of the town if it's developed and those 15 houses are even with one child, and probably would have more than one. And then you've got costs for roads and so forth as well. So anyways, I am in favor of the purchase.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, Frank, you're it. Last of the Mohicans.
Frank Campana. My comment is been on my mind for quite a while, since around last July. I was looking at I was provided and looking at the capital reserve account balances for the town. And on it, what I kept looking at, even over the last few years, the Bridge Reconstruction Fund. If you recall, that was an article that was put forth to save $100,000 a year for 4 years to replace, well, apparently 3 bridges. I thought it was 2, I guess. But it was 2 anyway, River Road Bridge being most prominent. And you're going to get a sales pitch tonight, if it's still on the agenda, from the CIP. And CIP, was behind this from the get-go. And my issue is that I have the mailer from last year, and I will only use portions of the Selectmen's purpose, not the Finance Committee, although they're pretty closely the same. And it did state, per the Selectmen, that the state bridge aid ran out of money, therefore pushing this project out till 2026. Okay, it was supposed to be 4 years. Now, I realize and I can accept that, best laid plans of men sometimes don't go the way you plan them, but you folks have held on to my portion of that money for 5 years. Last year you had an article to support an extra $25,000 and to kind of keep up with cost rising costs. That failed, and it was not supported by the Finance Committee. So in 2016, this money got started, and it's not slated to get spent for, 10 years after. Well, that's a lot of my money, I guess. I didn't do the math, I don't need to tie up for that amount of time. So when it comes to, CIP and all that, you really need to consider, some of them are very short-term, buy a truck, buy a car, stuff like that. Okay, it's, here 1 year and gone the next. But, I'm not faulting the, the CIP or the voters for starting this money, but it's been pushed out way, way beyond what it was slated to. I think that's an error in a capital improvements plan and capital reserve funds. You look at, you'll get it tonight, that, these departments, they push out their plans for 10 years or so. Nobody has a crystal ball, and I understand that. I understand that. But when it's committing money, if it's committing money that far out, I won't be here, that's for sure, but, well, hopefully 10 years I will be. But someday I won't be here, and I could probably use that money while I am here. If nothing else, pass it on to my children and let them decide what they want to do with it. So that's my comment, and I hope I don't see another article. I haven't kept up with the CIP committee this year very well. I hope I don't see another article, at least for another, what did I say, another, till 2026, to look for more money for bridge repair, all right? Because you've had the money long enough already. That's my comment. Thanks.
Dick? I guess you're the last of the Mohicans, I guess, then.
Just clarify, I'm a little confused on this land purchase. Does the Board of Selectmen have to approve this purchase?
Yes.
Is that what you're doing?
Yep.
Okay, so you have to approve the purchase. There's a purchase and sale agreement on the property, right?
Correct.
Okay. But in order to go through with that, you need to approve it.
And that part of it's been approved, the other part is not, and there's going to be a decision made on that tonight.
And I'd just like to thank Selectman Meany for bringing up some of these issues relative to the Conservation Committee concerning trails and signage and et cetera. It's an ongoing issue. Maybe it shouldn't reside with the Conservation Commission. They do a great job purchasing land and putting conservation easements on property. But maybe, and I know they've stated in minutes that they're not a recreation committee. They're there to purchase land and protect the land, as was stated by Mr. Towns in their charter. But I hope the board would not just drop it and maybe pursue looking at another group that would be responsible for the trails and putting signage up as to where these conservation areas are. A neighbor mentioned to me that she has to go into New Boston and not to Goffstown to go to the trails, and she's a mile away from the Woods family property. She didn't even know it existed. And even when you go in there into the Bolton Memorial Field, there's this road that keeps on going. You don't know where it goes, and there's no sign there at all to indicate that it's part of the Woods family forest. And the sign that was put in there by Boy Scouts has been destroyed. Rocks have thrown at it, and I don't know about today's youth, but they stole something from the 70s. It said, spray painted, "Make love, not war." So I guess they don't have any imagination. Anyway, I hope you don't just drop it and pursue the signage where these areas are, and also the trails. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there is one more.
Nick Fox, 51 East Shore. I had two comments, one on the land. I was actually looking at, I know all land is different, but looking at about the same acreage at a town next door, and it was $35,000. I don't understand where that number comes for that size land. So
I'm sorry, what, it was, you weren't quite
approximately the same acreage.
right.
for about 35,000, not 380. So I was just curious on how you came up with a number. My concern about that number is then that land, if it's a sale in Ware, then the comps for everybody else's land is gonna go up. So, second thing, and this was brought up in the planning board, I guess it's been brought up since June of this year, and it's regarding short-term rentals. And I gotta make a public comment. I know we'll talk about this later, but I definitely want it on the notes and in the minutes, because I think that's a very slippery slope. Supposedly, the comment that came up about short-term rentals is it's a business, and you can't do that out of your home. I don't consider that a business first. I can do whatever I want out of a single-family home. There's nothing illegal about that. But once you start saying you can't do a business, I'm not saying it is, but let's say you can't do a business, what's defined business? What is that definition? I could come up with many. But here's a list of many people that I've done business with in town, and these are the businesses that they have in and out or around their homes. Buying and selling wood, eggs, vegetables, fruit, books, accounting, lawn mowing, tree removal, snow plowing, garage sales, cutting hair, massage, Mary Kay, Avon, Pampered Chef, Tupperware, small machines, welding. I could go on and on and on. All done at their homes, all done to make a little money on the side, all done completely legal. So that's my thoughts. Once you start, quote unquote, banning and creating warrant articles because of a neighbor dispute, that's not the way this town should be run. Neighbors' disputes should go to the local police department, not to the selectmen, and not making a warrant article that would ban something that's not, clearly not illegal. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for public comment. Okay. Now move on to department heads. Chief? Andy, I see you're here.
What's the thought?
Did you want to say anything during public comment or no?
Under department head, yeah.
Yeah, that's where he is.
Yep. Good evening, Selectmen. Andy Fulton, 37 Hemlock Drive. I chair the Conservation Commission. There's been some talk, and yes, I share a common property boundary with the parcel up on North Stark Highway, and that's something that I've shared as long as I've been here, 20-something years. That's an issue that's been raised before and dealt before. And, you know, that certainly, in dealing with this project this year, I recused myself. I didn't pursue this project. I didn't vote for this purchase and sale. I abstained. That was done at the Conservation Commission. That was done to try to avoid the appearance of conflict of interest. So I would share that and ask if the board has any questions about that issue, or if there's any commentary as to whether I should delve into that any further.
Anybody from the board? John?
I wish you had actually said something to us that you were, I'm curious why you were presenting it to us. Why you're involved with it at this point to the Board of Selectmen level.
Well, that was, once it was voted on by the commission, it was the will of the commission.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of the team for the commission, yes, I did stand before the Board of Selectmen and talk about the value of the property.
My concern is, not once did you ever disclose to the Board of Selectmen that you were in a butter to this, and to me, that's not right. I'll put it that way. And I'm disappointed that that was never disclosed to the Board of Selectmen. And shame on us for not for not looking it up when we had the chance
Well,
to research it. So
I did
that's
look,
part
but I
of, part of our
didn't,
fault.
I couldn't tell if he abutted it or not on the map I had.
I'd ask the board, is there any feeling on the board that I've received any or could receive private benefit for this public position of the commission?
Anything's possible.
My comment on part of that, Andy, is that you should have disclosed it to the board. It seemed like part of this particular piece of land, there was some less than being forthright with some information. First part was from the title company about the lack of a proper survey and needing a survey, and that had to get brought out by somebody else, not by you people, to us. And then when that was brought out, everybody scrambled to get a copy of the legal survey, which is fine, but that should have been disclosed from the beginning. The fact that you are an abutter should have been disclosed to the Board of Selectmen to be proper and above board. You know, it may not be completely unethical, it's not completely illegal, but it's slightly unethical as far as ethics being upfront and forward. That's my personal part of it. The other part of it is that I looked at the minutes the other night for the Conservation Commission, and you voted on part of it. You voted no. That's a vote. You should have not even, and according to the statute, when you recuse yourself from something, you are supposed to get up and leave and not even be involved in the discussion of that particular item properly, if you read the RSA. It's not always adhered to, and I'm not going to belabor that, but these are things that bring certain issues, whether it be from the Conservation Commission or finance or anything else, that kind of leaves a bad taste. And when it comes to this board, we make decisions on what's put forth to us sometimes. And like I said the other night when this started, I didn't like being ramrodded a little bit, saying that this has been going on actually since back during the summer. At the last minute, have some of this thrown and make a decision. Your crisis at times is not, and it's not just your board, but other boards, it's not our emergency. And we have time to look at it. And that being said, I know that you had a lot of painstaking work done with the commission and the other members to get this finished, to bring it back tonight for the final say on it, so. And I
I
thank you
apologize for that, Jack. There was an oversight. As I stood here, I represented the will of the commission. As I voted the other night, and as I signed an agreement, and I represented the will of the commission, not an individual. So, you know, we've had the commission come before the board, not an individual, and in an attempt to answer questions is, you know, why we provide extra information at times. So we don't have all the answers before the questions are asked. So questions are asked, and we try to assemble answers, try to share information. And you know, thank you for assimilating that information. That's a, you know, proper role of each one of you here. And it's a sort of endeavor that you kind of learn along the way. This is not a professional outfit, an engineering group that comes before you to lay out a plan. We've worked on a lot of projects, and trust there'll be more projects down the road, but it's a challenging endeavor, and part of what happens with the commission is fatigue. There have been a lot of meetings here, our meetings, a bunch of your meetings, a bunch of additional questions, a bunch of additional legwork to answer those questions. But you know, our voices do get worn down too, and I apologize for that. And I would also suggest that, yes, there's room for improvement. Far from perfect on my performance with this. I think the fundamentals of the project stand on their own. I don't think I change those. It's a piece that is what it is. And I appreciate your considering it. And I would also like to, if it is your pleasure, have the Vice Chair of the Commission an opportunity to speak here as well this evening.
You're on the agenda, and he's your vice chair. He can come up and speak along with you. I have no objection to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your candor, Andy.
Good evening. Steve Najar, Vice Chair of the Ware Conservation Commission. Yeah, just wanted to remind everybody that I was actually the first one in front of the Board of Selectmen briefing this project, and apologize that I did not bring up where Andy lives. Didn't think it was relevant. I think he's, in the years that I've been on the commission, his ethics have been, to the highest level. That's why I did all the negotiation with the landowner. And work with the town attorney to develop the purchase and sale. Andy was not involved with that. That's really the critical part of it. Andy stepped aside, during that whole process, had nothing to do with it. So I think it's more my fault for not saying that to you all than, I just didn't think of it. You get in front of the board, you talk about the project, you get real kind of tunnel vision. So I wanted to apologize for that.
Okay.
But I think his, Andy's ethics are, I've never seen, any really misjudgment at all in the whole time I've known him. And I know he's working on the town's behalf. So, do appreciate,
Well, I go back to certain gentlemen back into the 40s and 50s, Harry S. Truman. He said, the buck stops here.
Yeah.
He's the boss. He's in charge of the committee. He's the chairman. The buck stops with him. So it's actually not yours. You're falling on your sword, so to speak, for him, but he should have brought that up for also as coming here and talking in front of us.
Yeah.
And that would have been the right thing to do. It slipped through the cracks. It's not a, I don't look at it as a completely mission-critical incident, but it's something that, when you sign on to do stuff for the town, you have an ethics form you fill out. You're supposed to follow that, and it slipped this time, so. And I believe it was an oversight, and he's been candid with it up tonight, so we move on.
appreciate it.
Go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Department, anybody else for department heads? Finance, correction, the town moderator, I assume, for the finance committee.
Good evening, Vice Chair Meany and members of the board. I think recent events and some events last year really speak to an issue that is outstanding that I'd like to ask you to take a look at as a part of your process this budget season when you're developing warrants. In years past, we had an ethics committee that was a seated committee that reviewed issues such as this and some other issues that have happened over the course of the past few years. And I'd like to encourage you to revisit that this year and to strongly consider reseating that committee to be able to do this work. That's it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm the chairman tonight by default, unfortunately. Chief? Budget, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, I think you'll just swap places, because Jack was ahead of you, but Jack's not even here. so.
Jock's not here yet, so
Okay,
go with your budget presentation, chief.
all right. So, we're going over the Ware Police Department's 2022 budget, just to give an overview of where we're at. We continue to operate, with an antiquated budget as the budget failed the town vote in 2020 and 2021. Since the last approved budget was passed in 2019, inflation has risen each year by 1.81% in 2019, 2020, 1.23%. Conservative projections by Forbes, which is a financial magazine, was at 4%. 2021, that's the most current projection I can get currently. The default operating budget, which excludes any salary or benefit lines, has decreased by 22.31% since the last budget was passed, and I'll get to that on the next slide because that was self-induced. When adjusting for inflation, 2019 through, that's actually through 2021 projected, the purchasing power of the operating budget has decreased by 29.35%. And just to let you know, this presentation will be posted to the police website if anybody wants it tomorrow. We do a transparent budget process. The primary catalyst, as I mentioned, for the operating budget's decrease was the elimination of the contracted prosecutor in 2020. She was being paid $78,000 at the request of us. This funding was requested to be used in the 2021 proposed budget to provide funding for departmental needs. Of course, that vote failed. Since the prosecutor's contracted, that money just goes away. We don't get to apply it anywhere. So just to give the highlights of current departmental needs, where that $78,000 would be applied. Prosecutor services, line 324, I'll discuss all these more in depth as we go through this, $13,250. Tasers, since I've been here, we've had tasers, however, they are not in our budget. Tasers annually would cost $8,650. That involves 2 lines. Body-worn cameras, also, we've had them since I've been here, not included in our budget, $8,868. Ballistic equipment, severely underfunded. I believe we have $1,800. That barely provides 1 vest. I'll get into that, but we need $7,315. And we're getting a new contract with dispatch out of Gulfstown, which will include IT support for our mobile data terminals, which are the computers in the cars. That'll go up by $9,000. Why is passing a budget important? And I'm going over this. I want to highlight this because I see a lot of departments around us. I don't think they're going to make it. We're doing quite well. We currently have 1 vacancy. For that vacancy, I have a certified officer out of a large city in background. I expect to pick him up by mid-December, meaning we're going to be full. So first time anybody can remember the police department being full in quite some time.
Chief, not to interrupt you, just to interrupt you for a second.
Sure.
When you say full, and I know the questions are coming out, and I can see it in some of the faces in the room. Is that going to be 24-hour coverage when
No.
you have a full?
Full, we don't have enough people for 24-hour coverage. From what I get, if we had 2 more people, we could do 24-hour coverage. And that includes the union members waiving a part of the CBA, so we can do that.
Okay. Okay, because I know that's a question that's been brought forth at,
Many years.
for many years, and it's been brought forth that when you're up to full staff, it has been told to this board and told to the citizens that they would have 24-hour coverage.
Yeah, not by me. 12 people.
Not by you, but
yeah.
by your predecessors. And
Yeah, that's fine. They can own it,
So
but
I
12
know-
people's not enough to run full coverage.
I know
So,
that that's the question on everybody's mind, so I wanted to get it on the record.
yep. And on the record, in New Hampshire, not going outside of New Hampshire, officers average, there's a little bit over 2 officers per 1,000 residents, meaning we should be a department of 18 people. We're at 12. We're nowhere close. I don't even need 18 people to give you 24-hour coverage. I do need 14, and that's for 24-hour coverage. And we're not trying to up our staff. We'll go with whatever the voters want. I'm fine with 12, and we'll keep doing what we're doing. But if the voters want 24-hour coverage, we need 2 more people. So why is passing a budget important? And this is a basic psychological theory. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It starts, the bottom tier are the most basic needs. If you look down there, good, safe work environment, the right tools to do the job. That ties into our tasers, our body-worn equipment, our ballistic equipment, communications, and serviceable vehicles. If we don't provide the basic needs, they're just going to look at other departments. We've already lost a couple since I've been here who have gone to other departments because they were concerned about communications or other factors, not having enough coverage. Because in 2019, we only had 5 officers who could work the street, for those who weren't aware of that. This department almost folded in 2019. We were on the verge. We've done a lot since then. All right, so salary and benefits, I don't really get too much into that since that's already been voted on. It's the 3rd year of CBA. I do touch on lines 231 and 232. The state has increased the percentage of New Hampshire retirement system contributions the town was required to pay. $83,790 increase from 2020 to 2022. Our budget back in 2019 and 2020 used to be 80%, just over 80%. We're currently about 86% of the budget. Of course, some of that is self-induced because we did get rid of that prosecutor line, which was $78,000. So when we're talking operating budget, which is what I'm really going into, it's actually a very small percentage of our overall budget, but it's stuff we need. From here, I go right down the list as far as the lines. Line 320, police prosecute evidence collection, no change. However, there is a reduction in that. We use ICAC for investigation purposes. They sent us a letter requesting fundings because, as everywhere, they're underfunded. They're requesting $1,000 from us. We're going to dedicate that to them. They assessed us in 2020 with 12 cases. It was estimated each case is estimated to save the department $1,300. So you can do the math on that. They're an outstanding resource for us. For those who are following, we're currently doing our Beards for Bucks to support them.
How are they currently funded? Private fund?
That I don't know.
Okay. Are they a governmental agency or are they an independent?
What, the ICAC?
ICAC.
Yeah, ICAC.
Juvenile investigations? Is that what you're talking? Yeah, that's comes under a federal program.
It does, okay.
It's in conjunction with it's multi-agency, the sheriff's department, feds are involved in it, you know, the marshals, they get, it's quite a task force.
Okay.
And ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children, so they're dealing with very young victims, and they receive specialized training to help, both help them deal with that process and to attempt to identify a perpetrator and get that perpetrator to justice. Police record storage, up at top, if you'll notice, I bolded exactly what the line is about. So this is a new line. It's just for better transparency. We ran out of storage room for records at the department. We're required to keep those records because most of them deal with the rest. We have about 80 boxes in storage. We put them down in Manchester at New England Document Storage. It costs us $75 a month or $900 annual. I'm asking for $1,000. Anytime we take a record out of storage, it does cost an extra, so that's that little $100 buffer. We had to get one today for a 91A request. Police prosecutor services. If you look top left, this is where that $78,000 was in 2020. Of course, when the budget didn't pass in 2021, it went down to zero. What it takes for this line is $13,250. We contract with a police prosecuting attorney. He is a certified attorney where we have 24/7 access should we have any legal questions. We use him quite frequently. We pay him a $6,000 retainer for the year. We also have $1,250 set aside. He'll charge us $55 an hour for any court cases we need him to do. We do hit conflicts of interest where we might know a person we're arresting. We'll get him to do the prosecution in cases such as that. That's typically where we use him. We also have an internal police prosecutor. That's Officer Perslow. We pay her the same rate as we do a field training officer, which is $6,000 a year. So that's where the $13,250 comes from. Line 341, no change. It's broken down there, and I'm just going to say this generally. I won't hit no change lines very hard, but if anybody wants to look at it later, like I said, it'll be on the website, and I do put exactly where we put the money into it, where it goes to. Police dispatch, we're in the process of getting a new contract with them. We were at $50,000. We're going up to 59. They are increasing the services they provide by providing IT support to our MDTs, since we use the same MDTs that Goffstown uses. Just keeps things flowing very smooth. Police recruitment, reduction, funding to fully perform 3 background investigations annually. Since we're going to be fully staffed, I don't see us needing more than that. I'm pretty sure we can reduce that line a little bit, and we'll be fine on that line with $5,250. Police accreditation, of course, we're no longer accredited. This goes back to when we only had 5 people available to work the street. We couldn't maintain CLIA accreditation, so we withdrew from it. We are keeping $1 in the line just to keep it open. Line 430, no change. Police building maintenance. That goes to all the stuff you see listed there, plus more. 431, police evidence recovery storage. This was an increase. It wasn't funded. I was just having to find this in my budget because how the building was built. In case we have to seize a car, we need place to store the car. Obviously, we can't put it in our Sally port because we have to access our booking. So if we ever seize a car, we have a storage facility where we can have that car towed. We also have another large bay for any large items. Take the TDS burglary that we recently made an arrest on. We had a lot of evidence that we recovered, and we had to use that facility for that. Also, firearms. Thankfully, a lot of our residents have a lot of firearms. We're very glad of that fact, but sometimes they get in trouble with the law and we have to seize their firearms temporarily and store them for them. 79, 100 guns, it takes up our evidence room pretty quick, so we need somewhere to store them. We'll probably be contracting with an actual firearms dealer where we can do that for in the future. Police training, no change. This is a great budget line. We use it to really enhance the skills of our department members. Police printing, no change. Police dues, no change. Police mileage reimbursement, no change. Police rubbish removal, I just got a notice today. These rates are increasing. I haven't had time to fully research it. We're looking at the different companies rather than just who we do now. Essentially, we do 2 cubic yards twice a week. It costs us $170. I got a bad quote from the manager who didn't return my call after that. Essentially, even if we paid the new rate, which is the 270 option, so that's $135 a week for the 2 cubic yards. Even if we doubled that, it would be $270, and she told me it was going to be $300. After I hung up, I put that together. She charged me an extra $30 than what the rate was, so I called her back, and she didn't return my call. So we're looking at that. If we went up to a 4 cubic yard bin once a week instead of twice a week, it's $235. So, but we're still playing that line. That I'm not going to pay more than $235. We'll call Killian. Police cleaning services, no change. I'm sorry, reduction. We had a little bit more in there than what we needed, what we're being charged for. So I reduced that line to be more accurate. What's up? Yeah. Police building, general supplies, all I did was split this line with the police supply line, just to better accountability and transparency. So it's just $2,000. Police supplies, no change, different supply line I was just referring to. No change. Just to let you know, half, because it looks like it's a good budget, half of that line went straight to ammunition this year. So, and ammunition's going up. And that's minimum qualifications. We didn't shoot any extra. We just did basic qualifications and 1 night shoot. Here's our new line, police taser equipment. This is actually putting the taser in the budget. It's broken up into two lines. Based on our previous budget years, I know we like to buy our equipment. So this is buying 3 tasers annually. What I do is I use 15 people, divide that up by 5 years because that's the life cycle of it, and you'll see a flyer I've got later. So 3 tasers a year plus cartridges and batteries. I'm sorry, this is the taser equipment line. So this is the cost for, I told you the number's 15. So if I buy 3, I only need to outfit 12. So 12 batteries and then cartridges for the other 12 plus a few extra is $2,800. So that's the taser equipment to keep the equipment going on the 12 tasers that we hadn't just purchased. Here's the taser line. This is where we're buying 3 tasers. And with components, they're almost $2,000 each, 15-year life cycle. To the right is a flyer that Taser actually sends, and I'm going to quote, "High voltage electronic components wear out over time. Weapons more than 5 years old are 2 times more likely to fail. This is kind of their warning. Don't keep them past 5 years. We have 12, if I'm not mistaken, right now. 8 of them are past 5 years. So we've got 4 under contract. If you keep them under 5 years, they give you a $10 million liability insurance policy as part of the contract. So those are the 2 lines which will cover tasers, which had previously not been on our budget. Radio maintenance contract, no change. Oops. See, I told you, always playing for the other. Come on. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. All right, so this is why I got a book. You guys got it. This will be posted to the website tomorrow. Let me go there. Can I what?
Can you just minimize it?
Is it letting me? Let me see. Hey, good job. All right, on to body-worn cameras. So again, we're using the 15, just licensing and media storage for the 15 body-worn cameras, no equipment. It's just licensing and media storage. It's $6,786 a year. So we're getting body-worn cameras into the budget. And we'll go to the other BWC line in a little bit, where we buy the components for it. Police computer equipment, no change. Those are some of the programs we use for that. And here's the other body-worn equipment line. $3,900, that's for 3 body-worn cameras and 1 docking bay annually, because again, we purchase outright rather than contract them. Office equipment furniture, no change. Office supplies, this is the account where I split it. It used to be $4,000 and I made the janitorial supply line. So it went from $4,000 to $2,000, but no change in that one. Police IMC server maintenance, no change. It pays for pretty much our computer access to everything. Police photocopier service, it covers 2 contracts, one for usage fees, one for equipment fees. We actually reduced that based on those annual projected fees by $745. Police postage, no change. Police fuel vehicles, set by the finance director based on estimated rate per gallon. She estimated that at $3.25, and we're estimated to use 7,000 gallons annually. So that comes out to $22,750. Police safety medical gear, no change. Vehicle repairs, no change. Maintenance tires, no change. Books updates, we had to increase this a little bit. What we had didn't cover the books we need by $335. Oops. But everything's related to, since we have an internal prosecutor, actual law books, traffic criminal law, juvenile law, and the evidence manual court rules. Oops, missed one. Communication equipment, we reduced this one. I'm only going to get 1 radio a year. All of our radios, even if we switch to the new antenna system, the new infrastructure, radio infrastructure, we have the current radios necessary for that infrastructure. We wouldn't have to upgrade any of those. So having the radios last 15 years each, we'll get 1 annually, and we should be good. Defense and force equipment training, no change. Juvenile diversion projects, no change. Uniform maintenance dry cleaning, contractual, no change. Officer uniforms equipment. So this one I used to put weapons life cycle management in. I'm going to use 2,000 of what our default budget was, dedicate it to it, and I'm going to need to increase it 2,000 because we get a lot of stuff with this uniform equipment line. So that'll give me $4,000 a year dedicated to maintaining our handguns, our rifles, and our non-lethal shotguns. That program would replace our handguns every 7 years, our rifles every 10 years, and our shotguns as needed. Shotguns aren't that expensive, but that's what I'm looking to do with that one. Just to let you know, I threw that in there. Outfitting 1 new officer cost in excess of $3,000, and that's not including the vest. Police ballistic equipment. All right, this is a line that was seriously underfunded. My default budget was $1,760. 1 new vest typically takes about $1,200 of that. If you do the math, if we've got 15 officers, these expire after 5 years. So that means we need a minimum of 3 a year. We also do 3 helmets and 3 trauma plates annually. Everything ballistic is a 5-year life cycle. We also have in there 1 shield, which would stay in our 5 patrol vehicles, which is estimated at $3,000. But that would give us what we need. The $9,075 would be what we need to maintain a department of 15. And where I get to 15 is 12 full-time and then 2 part-time. So 15 is the closest to 14 of what we actually have. Police uniform allowance is contractual by the CBA. Animal control budget, no change in professional services. Lowering the electricity budget by $99 just because we don't use the facility anymore since it's unserviceable. Meeting seminars, no change. This is essentially the training line. Supplies, We lowered it by $42 just because it was just odd to me, $542, so I just made it 500. AC fuel vehicle, I estimated at $30 a month just for fuel. Safety medical gear, no change, $100 is good, because we have an inventory. Vehicle maintenance repairs, $1,000 a year. Shelter maintenance, again, lowered that to $1 just to keep the line open since we no longer use the kennel. And that's the end of the slideshow. Any questions? Wow.
Thank you, Chief.
You're quite welcome.
And I believe the Honorable Jack Dearborn is out in the hallway.
Yeah, he said it was too hot in here.
He was standing out in the hallway a minute ago. I saw him.
Yeah, he said it was hotter than in here.
You okay if I open this window?
Fine with me.
Before we get Jack Dearborn, I just have a little bit of information from the DPW that I need from you gentlemen and lady. So the town of Ware went out to bid for glass crushing. Friday was the due date for bids to be received. We only received one. So we always only receive one. So if you can make a motion, I have a bid from Ivar Martin.
He's usually the only one that does bid on it.
No.
Nobody else
We
does.
gotta do it.
Single vendor and then some.
Yeah, he's the only one who has the right equipment to do it, so it kind
Yeah.
of, which is. Does it for almost every other town around, too.
Yeah.
It's the only game in town, I guess you could call it. Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Ivar Martin for glass crushing for the coming year, and the amount is for $10,000. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, here you go, Bill. Okay, take a,
He was texting me.
Take
Said it
a-
was too hot in here.
take a 2-minute recess for a minute.
It says it's hotter than in hall.
Yeah.
I'm in the front foyer.
Okay.
He just read my text, so he'll be here.
We can't do any more than open the windows, right?
Yeah, we get the
He might have gone to his car. Well, no, there's only one heat zone in here, and it's controlled in there.
Yeah. So,
Heat's off. Surprisingly.
doesn't mean it wasn't on today, though.
Doesn't mean it wasn't shut off. Which
Yeah. Yep. It was bad today until the wind kept coming, then it was.
It was nice this morning when the sun
That's
finally came
four.
out.
Take one and pass it on. You guys will get yours on the 17th.
Leave one for Johnny. Is he coming? Okay.
Beth, can you run that for him? Should have worn your shorts and t-shirt.
What's that?
Should have worn your shorts and t-shirt.
Should have. 6.
You can turn the AC on if we want.
Will you do something here?
Well, so you can.
Thank you.
The floor is yours, Jack.
Okay, thank you. You can make it bigger? The whole screen? I got it. Where is
That's
that?
big enough. We're not gonna turn the TV because it's so blurry for everybody at home.
All right. All right. Good evening, Jack Dearborn, Town of Ware CIP Committee. Report out for the 2022 activity. This evening, committee members, myself, Sue Richmond, Vice Chair, Steve Roberts.
Did you want one?
Gary Shelto, John Osborne ex officio, and Bruce Fillmore. I also like to thank them. I'd like to thank all the department heads as well. Very responsive and consistent in the terms of handing in what we asked for. Plus Naomi and Beth for everything they do. Okay. Again, just a quick review. This is basically how we score things. Everything in the year one is urgent or necessary. Urgent is because of safety and health issues, and necessary is basically because it's going to impact Town of Ware's quality of service. This is an eye chart here. Just want to point out that this is the department. This is the type of equipment we're using. You see some vehicles over here and some trucks down over here for Benji. This is the balances of the capital reserve funds in this column. And this is 2022 here, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. We're obligated to have a future look of 6 years so that we can anticipate large expenses and appropriately schedule them. So that's one page. Here's a second page, and this basically is the same, except on the bottom here is total request, $1.4 million. And next page is what we would call our whiteboard exercise. We take all the requests for the year. If some of these look like a operating budget, we kick them out. If some of these are premature, we move them out to further years. Everybody's done a very good job because we've been into this cycle 6 or 7 years. Everybody seems to have got how to schedule things out in the future. So I'll get into details, but basically the fire department has 2 requests for $425,000. Highway department has $1.25 million request. Notice there's 2 columns here. One is the request, and the other one is impact to taxes. I'll explain later, but there is a special revenue ambulance fund that every time somebody takes a ride in the ambulance, Town of Ware is obliged to bill the individuals, insurances pay, whatever. Somebody has to process that. So there's a gross amount of money that comes in, and there's the fee of actually processing that paperwork to collect is deducted from it, and then the balance is put into a special revenue fund. Can only be used to spend for fire department. So this year, request is cardiac monitors, defibrillators, and ambulance replacement. And highway, we've got a request for 2, Benji has a request for 2 10-wheelers. The price last year was $215,000. This year, the anticipated price is $260,000, just because of the anticipated inflation. Benji also is looking to replace one of his small 6-wheel dumps, which is primarily used for plowing around parking lots, intersections, sanding various areas, and salting. And then the other one is the long-term, keeping up on our roads. Used to call it the Summer Road Project, but it's really more than that. This is a catch-all for all things that are not either repair in nature on equipment or salary of people or their benefits. This is strictly to buy asphalt, to buy road fill crushed material for base, culverts, and road signs and guardrails. This, and also in here is for during the summertime, a lot of the dirt roads that we have in town, the class 5 roads, have calcium chloride put on them. This includes that, and also crushing
material for winter roads that we spread on the roads. The next one is the police is requesting one cruiser, and Board of Selectmen is asking for $20,000 for an update to the master plan. The planning board is actually requesting this. It hasn't been updated for over 10 years, and they're requesting this as a start on the project. I think it's going to be a 3-year project for a total of $60,000, but they're going to take it in $20,000 increments to hire and do certain sections of the master plan. So basically, the way it breaks up with totals, and we got more detail going down. The gross request for everything is $1.746013. And it's on either side here. Offsets, we get block grants out of the state of New Hampshire in the form of dollars coming back from registration on town registrations you pay. Some go to the state, we get it back. The formula is based on the number of miles that we have that we maintain on the road and the number of people on those roads. So there's a formula, and we get back 287,000 or something like that. It's a little further down. There is 2 conditions here for a truck. This is $260 coming out of American Recovery Plan Act.
American Rescue Plan Act.
Thank you.
ARPA.
This requires all of it being taken out of taxes at a little over $1 million. If the selectmen choose to use that fund for one of the trucks, which we didn't buy last year, it ends up being $780 required to be raised by taxes. And you'll see down here, we'll get into this later, but it'll be 83 cents per thousand for that number, or 62 per thousand that number. This here, we'll see it later on, is the amount of money that we've already encumbered. In terms of road bond, we did $2.5 million a couple years ago, and also the highway garage. So that's what it costs us to pay this year coming up, which we're indebted to. Cardiac monitors, basically, they're getting old, they require repairs, and there's very few parts left. A lot of the parts are obsolete, so they got to take and repurpose returns that can no longer be fit for service and pull components off in it to update any failures that might happen at the vendors. Just some 12 lead EKG, pacing, automatic blood pressure, and some oxygen, CO2, and carbon monoxide monitoring. This is the ambulance. We currently have a 2009, 85,000 miles. The rear differential, rear end, whatever assembly, basically cracked. It's in process of being repaired. They're having trouble getting the parts. It has had some reliability issues over the earlier years, recent years, I should say. And again, it also, they're looking to do patient loading system. The issue is the number of people going out on an ambulance and the person that may have to be moved, maybe more than the 2 people can handle for whatever reason. This would allow for easier loading of the individuals into the ambulance. Police have requested this year a Tahoe, and there's some attributes here, but basically it's all the equipment that would go in the chattel in terms of that and the actual vehicle itself. The impact is set 6 cents per thousand on the rate. There's a few extra. We currently have, well, we have had 7 vehicles for the police and 1 for the ACO, Animal Control Officer. Last year, I think it was a Crown Vic, finally quit, and it was either towed off to the junkyard or got $3 at the town, at the state auction. I'm not sure which, but we're currently vacant. So this will be replacing this vacant vehicle right here with a new vehicle. And this is sort of the repair costs that we've incurred over the years. This is sort of the scorecard of what's been requested and what we actually spent, which means zero means we never get them. So it's the history of where we are over the last 10 years. This is a hypothetical rotation. These are the current vehicles today. That's vacant. In 2022, they're looking at these vehicles and replacing, excuse me, that becomes a 2020 coming in 2022. Even if we purchase one this year, it wouldn't be until next year. Then follow-on years, just to show that there is some consideration of rotating assets over time. Public Works, this is Benji stuff. As I mentioned before, 2 trucks. One could be with, one with the asterisk would be with the ARPA money. The other one would be considered for taxes. And basically, this is the money right here, and there's the $280,000 we received. So the net to be raised by taxes is $294 out of that $575 and 23 cents. And this basically is everything to do with the roads as far as material, as I mentioned. Let's see here. This is a 10-wheeler that he hopes to get. This is an example of a 10-wheeler. Some of you are happy there. And I'm not sure who he is, but he seems to be happy.
He's not with us anymore.
And this is sort of the condition of the trucks. The 2 trucks, looking at are Volvos. These are the 2006 and 2005. And they're basically well-used, rusting, because these are just basically mild steel bodies. They're rusting over time. And the problem with the Volvos is a lot of this is the first generation electronic diesel control, and they have a lot of problems with it. And Volvo has a hard time even getting these things back up to shape. They manage to get them running and stay running, but they're not necessarily in compliance. This is an example. Doesn't mean we're going to buy. This is a picture that was available of a 6-wheel 4500 type Chevy. This happens to be, I guess it's an International. And basically last year, the 2009, we spent $10,500 just for repairs. Getting along in the tooth. And this includes, that price includes the vehicle, the dump body, sander, and the plows. This is a schedule of all Benji's equipment. There's 3 pickups there, which is the 2 small dump trucks. I guess it's that one and that one is the, I guess this one, 2015 is the pickup. And then you got the 12 large trucks, some are 10-wheelers, some 6-wheelers. You see these 2 candidates here, the Volvos 2004, 2005, number of miles and number of hours. And even though 141,000 miles doesn't seem like a lot, when you got it fully loaded with sand, you're plowing the back roads, it's in low gear as fast as they can go to plow. It's got hard life on it versus what you would see for a state plow. And then you go down here, it just happens to be other trailer and equipment. We're not considering any replacement on that this year. Here's some more equipment. This happens to be a bulldozer, mower, go down the list. Just to show, here's some other issues that are on the capital in the future. Down below, you'll see at least a notional rotation through the years, and they go out quite a ways. We're anticipating in a couple of years an excavator, and we've got that in the program for 2024. Here's the fleet rotation of the equipment. One of the problems we're running with a large equipment, we did not buy any large trucks, 10-wheelers, 6-wheelers, for these periods of time right here. So what we're dealing with is the town not buying them at that time. Now we've got to put into a rotation for every year to replace a vehicle. That's well beyond its useful life, but they're having to maintain it. And part of the problem is Benji's sort of plan of attack for snowstorms or ice storms is that he expects to have a plow return within 3 hours. So they got like 15 routes in the town. The 3 pickups go out with the mechanics in it, and the 12 trucks go out with the truck drivers. And if any one of those large trucks fail or they can't get out there to plow, it extends the life, spends the time when people have to, they expect, the road to be cleared. It's just going to take longer to get back there and do that. Instead of 3 hours, it might take 6 hours. And on top of that, the guy who's getting paid to drive the truck isn't driving the truck. So you lose your service delivery, and you basically cannot use that person's time for his meaningful task. So basically, this is the trucks that we replaced in the recent years, and we're going down the list here and looking at trucks so that we would get a refreshed, have all at least 10, nothing longer than a 10-year-old vehicle, a 12-year-old vehicle. So we're basically making up for time where we did not purchase vehicles. This is basically the equipment in the transfer station. We did buy a trailer last year. So 2021, I think it came in this year, actually. And this is sort of another eye chap. This is really tells the whole story. What we have here is these are the various years: 18, 19, 20, 20, 21, and this is 22 here. It shows some expenses that we had for short term. We took 5-year leases for the grader. That's all gone. We took ambulance. I think we took a 3-year lease. And that's all gone. The only 2 we got left is we're finishing up in 2027 with a garage bond, and 2029 with a road $2.5 million that we did 4 years ago, whatever it was. So this is the total long-term and short-term debt for this current year right here. And this is the total you saw in the first page that I showed you, 1746. This is capital expenditures total. This includes that money there plus that money for that. So it's the long, short-term debt plus the actual this year for 21. This is the offsets, and there's 2 offsets. This will be the offset if we pay one with the ARPA over here. This one will be higher because it's an extra $260,000. So between this number and this number over here is $260,000. So.
Any questions
Is
from the
there
board?
anything?
No questions? All right.
No, really, good job.
This is my second round at it, Jack, so.
Well, as long as I sounded the same, I guess I'm
Yep,
happy.
right on the money.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jack.
You're welcome. We can close it.
Give that back to Naomi.
You guys can keep them.
I've already got one. I got it at the planning board the other night.
Gotcha. All right, do you have the manifest?
I do have the manifest, and that's next.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated November 4th, 2021, as included in the following manifest. Payroll manifest, $67,026.91. That's the weekly and fire monthly payroll. Accounts payable manifest is $62,659.86. The John Stark accounts payable manifest of $250,000. the Ware School District payable manifest of $250,000, for a total of $629,686.77. The following manifests were previously ordered to be signed at the October 18th, 2021 Board of Selectmen's meeting. Payroll manifest, $69,926.23. That's weekly and monthly payroll checks dated 10/28/21. Accounts payable manifest for $62,876.96. That's checks dated 10/28/21. As there is no Selectmen's meeting scheduled for Monday, November 8th, 2021, we order the treasurer to sign payroll checks dated November 11th, 2021, estimated to be about $75,000. Furthermore, to order the treasurer to sign up to the amount of $90,000 for accounts payable that cannot wait until the next scheduled meeting. Reports and actual check amounts will be reported to the Board of Selectmen by inclusion on the manifest memo at the next scheduled meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item is the
Was
minutes.
that you?
Yes, second.
The next item is the minutes. We have two sets of minutes. The first is for 10/18/21. Anything on page one?
Do I need to?
Anything on page two? Page three? Page four. Page five. Page six.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes of October 18, 2021 as written.
Second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. Now we'll continue on to the minutes of 10/21. Anything on page one? Page two. Page three.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes of October 21st, 2021 as written.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Need one more signature on each of those, please.
Yeah, she just said there's some signatures needed.
Oh, I didn't see that one in there.
Give me a second to catch up.
Okay. Yeah, it does. I didn't see that one tucked in the back. Is that one done?
I signed that one.
Yep. Yeah, it's all signed.
Is there enough on one now?
Yep.
There's 2 sheets to those. You got 2 sheets of
I
that.
didn't see two sheets in that one.
There's usually 2 sheets on those copies.
Oh, yeah, there is. I did sign it.
That's what we always go on.
I'm in time to go to bed mode.
Okay.
4 o'clock.
Before I forget.
Quarter
I
to
don't
4
wanna
comes
forget,
early.
because it's gonna, I wanna get it resolved before, is home heating fuel or heating fuel for the town office. I know you did the gas. So, Beth put together what we spent, or what we've used for gallons in 2021. And we had told Irving, or we contracted with Irving, that we would buy 11,000 gallons of propane. We only bought 8536. Heating oil, we said we would buy 2,500. We bought 2882, so we're good with that one. So if you don't remember how it works, I did put it out to bid. I gave it to Dead River, Rhymes, H.R. Clough, and Irving. I didn't hear back from Rhymes or H.R. Clough. I did hear back from Dead River that they're only quoting contracts for 20,000 gallons or more at this time, so we're off of that list.
Okay.
So my second would be, if you remember, so you only have Irving to deal with, I won't go into the detail, but if you remember, you have to usually buy out the rest of the contract if you don't renew with them. So I sent out for, this year, I sent out for 9,500 gallons of propane, which is 1,000 gallons more than we did, and I went to 28, which is about what we did, because what happens is once you've used your limit, works in both ways. Once you've used your limit, you go to the today's price.
Right.
So we were getting number two fuel for $1, 1.596, but the last delivery we got was 2.422. So, today's price, as long as you're sitting down. Home heating oil, they would lock us in for 2,800 gallons at $2, 2.841. Yeah.
Almost double.
Up from 1.596 a year ago.
The economy's good.
So then propane, we were paying 1.279,
Same.
and they're looking at locking us in as 1.897. So it's a little bit of an increase, but I have them here tonight. If this is today's price,
Yeah.
so after the meeting, I have to send it back to them, or if you don't get this, you get whatever the barrel is tomorrow. So I don't know how you guys want to do it, but I will need signatures on the bottom.
The one that's got me shocked is the propane, because I know the average homeowner for propane, even paying, 3,000-4,000 gallons, about half of what you usually get, depending on how it's set up,
Are
is
you shocked because it's
it's
too much? or
$2. No, it's so
It's less than what.
cheap. I
yeah.
mean, usually it's like $2,
And they're saying, they're,
and
of course,
propane and natural
TV is
gas are
saying
going
that
through
there's
the
gonna be a
roof.
propane shortage this year.
So
I don't use
I
propane,
think
so-
that's an excellent price, so I think, personally, I think we ought to jump on it.
So if you.
Gasoline,
whoever-
and I mean, home
whoever your
heating oil,
motion is gonna be.
I want to grab my chest for it, but that's,
So if you want to go with Irving, that's the numbers.
how does the board feel?
I think you better do it and not wait, because the price is
We'll
going up.
entertain a
We've had them
motion.
for several years now. They seem to be doing good by us.
We haven't froze the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We
You
haven't
wanna-
run out of fuel either.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And so
We usually do.
I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion that we award the oil and propane for 2022 to Irving, the oil being 284.7 a gallon, propane at 189.7 per gallon.
What's that?
And to authorize him to.
And I want to,
Authorize Vice Chair Meany to sign the
I'm
contract.
going to try and pass it off to town administrator. Oh, but I guess wasn't quick enough.
Second.
Okay, so by.
Call the vote?
Yes, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes,
Aye. All those in favor on the other part?
yes.
Yeah, that's a foregone.
Nice try.
conclusion, Yeah. Yeah, I guess, like I said, the buck stops here.
I'll go down through quickly and I don't have a whole lot to add. Fuel's on here. Radio communications. I'm waiting to see, Beth's got a lot of stuff out to bid. And, like, I've got the furnace and the air conditioners out. So I think it's not that we're waiting on what we're gonna do, but I think we have some decisions to make. But we have decisions to make on contracts that are out, meaning, I mean, we've got cleaning out, we've got IT out, we've got some lawn care out, we've got a lot of things out. The other thing is, as we near closer to the end of the year, you know, we'll see where we are, when we get snow, when we start buying salt and everything else, to see where we are for the end of the year. So it's not that we're holding up, we're kinda gonna put the package, I think, together. Cause in 2 weeks, you're gonna hear from Fire Department, Parks and Rec, and the library, and then in the 6th, you're gonna hear from Benji, so we'll have decisions to make.
I know we're gonna grab our chest when we hear how much it's gonna be for salt this year.
Well, we're also hoping to set the tax rate at some point.
Yeah, 'cause
I
they
mean, we've
just-
tried inland,
they went up from
salt's up $30 a ton.
Yeah, it's up to $72 a ton at state bid, that's about the cheapest.
Yeah,
Some
that's it.
places they're getting it for more.
So I think
went
it's
to
a
other
collective
vendors.
package and a collective, you know, where you're gonna take things from. We've got the ARPA money there. I think there's an opportunity, which brings me to another point of a year-end purchase. Any of you who's taken a look at the the Public Works, the building inspector's truck? You ever taken a peek at that? Yeah.
What's
Yeah, I
left of
did.
it?
Huh?
What's left of it that
Yeah.
isn't rotting away?
So we,
Like Swiss cheese.
you know, I think we didn't, I think it's time that we replaced it. We can do that this year. We didn't have it on the ballot. I'm waiting on the state. The state is going to be finalizing their state bid lists. He hasn't got those yet. And we've got $4,650 is just one quote I got for fixing the body panels, the rockers, the labor, the parts. That's just one.
How old is that truck?
Brakes.
2000.
Is it 2002?
Hang on, 2000. Looks like a 2006.
It was a 2002.
So a 2006.
16 years.
Problem is, it just sits in the parking lot and rots.
Right. So, I mean, we have to make that, that's gonna be part of the whole togetherness when we look at what we have left, what we got left to spend, because Beth's running those numbers all the time. But I really think we have to consider for safety for everybody.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
we're on the last limb of its brakes and everything else.
Yeah,
so.
it was, and the brakes failed on it a couple
Yeah.
times, so.
And it's dropping rust at people's driveways when you leave,
Weight reduction,
when you
saves on
get there.
fuel.
Well,
So I think it's just in the back of your
mind.
mind. I want you to be able to understand that. Tennis court, you saw the CIP schedule. It's not ARA funds, it's ARPA, I spelled that wrong. We're working on the ACs in the furnace. Collins Cemetery is open. The cemetery trustees, I sent you the resignation, and she's resigned. Her and I had a conversation today, but we're gonna work for a smooth transition. There's a lot that has to be put into place, so her and I had a conversation today, she was here, and we're just gonna work towards that.
A question on that, though, is, they're resigning as what, the sextons, or they're not resigning
No,
as the
she's
trust?
resigning as the sexton.
Okay, but not as the
I
trustees, because that's
didn't
elected.
have that further conversation, that's another weeks down the road, but,
Okay.
she's got 2 more weeks she'll stay on, because after November 15th, they don't actually do the burials, they
Put them in the crypt,
They
yeah.
put him wherever,
Yeah.
at your house or something. So,
Look at you, not me.
and then, so the administrative assistant, we've had a lot of applications. We've probably got 15 or 20, which is nice. So the plan would be to narrow down, and on the 15th, just make sure you've had enough coffee, because you're gonna be here for a while. We got a lot going on the 15th, so.
Can we
I'd
just
like-
do a special meeting just for these 3 candidates instead? It's gonna be
You always
that.
spoil the fun.
I
Yeah,
know.
no, we can do
Just
that.
my thought on it, because it's our budget season right now. so.
Yeah, no, we can do that,
What's the
when we
rest
get
of
them
the
all
board
together.
think?
Are we gonna be putting Wendy's job
Yeah,
out
I'm fine with it.
to try to
Yeah.
find somebody shortly?
No, you're not gonna find anybody shortly. It's taken us a long time to find, and I mean, we have some great candidates. We'll see where we go.
Maybe there's somebody in that pack that could do that, too.
Maybe.
Yep.
You got the schedule for the budget presentations. I've already spoken to you about the heating and the building inspector vehicle. My schedule is, I won't be here Thursday and Friday. I'll be at the Red Jacket in North Conway at the conference. The only thing I'm waiting on is, everything is done on Century Roofing's list except for the East Ware Fire Station. I can't get an answer back from them.
I say it wasn't done when I went
No,
over.
it still isn't done. I've asked them to reach out and connect with Chief Zena if it's too difficult for me. I don't know why it's not happening, but, so, we'll get that to happen.
Collins Cemetery, I see that.
Collins Cemetery, if you remember, that's
Yeah.
the one we have to go through the process.
I didn't know if we'd already started, I can't remember if we already started.
It's on the back burner. That's
Okay.
least of my worries. Nobody's
Okay,
gonna
I
come
didn't
and
know if you'd already
complain.
done something on it.
I
Okay,
imagine
great.
everybody's gonna come and complain about that one, but,
Well, it's almost.
because the gentleman that talked to me, Ashley's gone to Florida.
Okay.
So he's the one who wanted to start the ball, but he knew that it would take a process, which is what the RSA says.
Okay.
Speaking of cemeteries, when is the lawn maintenance contract for cemeteries? When are they?
November 12th, I think everything is due.
12, okay.
Yep.
I know we've sent a lot out. We did IT, we did everything. That's why the 15th, we'd like to, award all those too, because those numbers are gonna have to go into your budgets as well. So, let me go once, I think this is all correspondence. So, the white elephant in the room.
Well, before we do that, I want to go back to public comment on the correspondence. Just so, I mean, we all received that letter on 137 Concord Stage Road. I know there's the conservation land up in the back. That right-of-way has been opened up as a driveway since, when I owned that house. So
You
I
own
need.
137?
137 Concord Stage Road, where she lives,
Cabin.
in a log cabin. And I mean, that was a right-of-way to access that in that back piece of property. I think part of it is gonna have to go back to research with zoning, because they gave them a variance, and I think it's gonna have to fall on that, and then, well, I guess it's gonna come down to us, if we're gonna have to start looking to see if there's somebody who's squatting out there, or if
Well,
they
wouldn't
can't get
that,
a.
wouldn't that be a code enforcement issue?
Well, we don't have a code enforcement officer, so guess who
Yeah.
that falls on? It falls on the five
Yes, well,
wise,
I just
the
wanna make
five
sure
wise
it's-
men, or
it's-
wise people up
It's
here.
falling on us because of that fact.
Because
So
of
I just
that
want to make
fact.
that clear.
Yeah.
That's right. Until we hire somebody,
Yep.
that's where it falls. So I think that's something that we're gonna have
But
to
you,
get
we
up.
also need to see if it's been 3 years and it hasn't been renewed, then it's done.
Then it's done, and then we can do
But they're
something.
also, they shouldn't be living in a camper out there with no place to put the waste.
Yep.
Right.
Typically, the
No
state
septic.
We
law
don't have a
doesn't
health
allow that.
officer,
no
so we have
septic
to
system.
refer that to the state.
Well, that has, we
That'll
could,
have to be done. So we'll have to research it,
Right.
I think.
Well, if it's true what the young lady came in front of us and said that it's not even the landowners, I guess first we need to verify if they are the landowners or not, who are staying there. And then second, do they have the permission of the landowner to stay there if they're not the landowners?
That's correct.
Because that's gonna change
well, I think it would
a
take a
lot of our direction.
registration check.
We're gonna
see
have to
what
check
owns.
who's living there, and then find out who the registered owner in town is, and then go from there. But that's gonna, bottom line, to answer that, that's gonna fall on us, for the time being. So, that's all I had for that. Okay, and you were starting to say something?
No,
before I
so,
rudely interrupted?
we started out with, the public comment in regards to, questions and, the infamous purchase of the 85 acres that we've talked about for a long time. You've gotten a lot of emails from a lot of people.
Sure.
They also, when we last left here, it was my understanding, as well as town councils, that Jack put forth a document that went to conservation. And I believe if you look in the minutes, Jack indicated that the documents, if they came back to the satisfaction, he would then make his choice. You've seen a lot of emails from Laura that I've shared with you. I also talked with Chair when he said he wasn't gonna be here. I said, is it your understanding the same as my understanding, and that being that we're not re-voting tonight. The only thing you gotta do is it's up to Jack of what he's gonna do, yes or no. He agreed with that. But if somebody thinks we need to re-vote, we can call him on the phone if he's back from Massachusetts. He felt the same way, that, you know, we left here knowing that it was up to them as a 2-to-1 abstention, and I believe Jack's on the record as well as if this got signed, which it did, then Jack would make his decision. So I think, I mean, we've talked about this and beat a horse till it's way beyond dead. It just needs to move on. You also need to be reminded, is you signed into a P&S. Right. Only contingency you had on the P&S was if you had a problem with the appraisal. The rest of it is to go through. There's also a default feature that if you don't follow through for other than what's in the contingency, you all saw Laura's response, that you could be sued. So it's entirely up to you and how you want to look in the community. You've heard everything both ways. And I believe you're down to this, whatever you're going to do.
Anybody else from the board have any?
No, I agree. It's your decision.
And that
I still
being-
think it,
Oh,
we
go
we
ahead.
know, we know the process. I don't think anybody's votes are gonna change except for yours, potentially.
Yep.
I think just to make it nice and clean and easy, we call the vote with Ricky on the phone. Just
Are
to
you
get
getting
it.
him on the phone to me?
I can.
Okay, get him on the phone.
Fine. I think at some point, whether you want to address what was brought up in public comment, you can address it at a later time. A lot of what was brought up is,
Hey,
We-
you able to speak for a few minutes? We're gonna put you on speakerphone and we're gonna call the vote. All right, hang on. And Ricky Hippler's on the phone for the record.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
Hey, Rick.
so what I brought up earlier was the fact that you and I discussed what our thoughts were as to where we left it, when you and I talked earlier tonight about, you know, when you weren't coming.
Okay.
I've had and said exactly what we talked about was we thought it was really just left up to Jack, because that's where it was. Laura had also mentioned that you know, the waiving of the appraisal was in the last set of minutes, and it was really just to the deadlock to try to unlock the deadlock, if that's the case.
Right.
It really is just up to Jack. Selectman Vance brought up a concern that he feels that we should, to make it clean for the record, is to make a whole nother vote. And that's why you're being called in right now.
I'm not opposed to that.
Okay? Then someone needs to make a motion.
I'm deciding what you guys will have to, one of you will have to make the motion. To Sherry?
I make a motion that we go forward and purchase the 85 acres of conservation of land up on Route 114 and Ware,
Known as the Baden property. Known as the Baden property.
known as a Baden property.
And the point of this is to waive the appraisal?
Yes.
Waive the to waive the appraisal.
So,
Did you hear that, motion, Rick?
Yep. Yeah, to waive the appraisal and move
Yes.
forward with the purchase.
Okay.
do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
No.
Roll call, yes.
Okay, Ricky, yes. Sherry?
Yes.
John?
No.
Dan? No. John Osborne?
No.
And I'm the deciding vote because I was abstained the last time. And the sticking point, and I'll go on the record, was the fact that we wanted to have the right, the town, one of the contingents was to have them put a trail plan in effect, so for any of the properties, have a plan that would be in within 2 years and start being put into effect. That we have, and we have the right to any resources on that land exempt of the wood, which would go to the Conservation Commission. And, now I'm getting,
To take into building.
yeah,
Take
and that the
building.
buildings would be, all buildings would be removed within 90 days of the purchase of, and closing of that property. And in doing my research, I know that, and with going back with town council, the Conservation Commission came forth and signed an agreement to that, minus the mining of resources that'll have to go to a warrant before the town because of the way the money was spent. But the rest of it's been agreed to. And the reason I will preface that I am going to vote in favor of purchasing this. That's my vote. So it'll break the deadlock. It'll be 3 yes, 2 no. And part of the reason for my pushing on this is that we've heard a lot about the conservation land in the past few years. A lot of it has come from former Selectman John Lawton about getting trails. And I think this is something that we have to go forward through. I know that there's a lot of moving parts in that. There's volunteers. And I think now's the time that we have people that are willing to do this, and we can go out and between the Snowmobile Club and other organizations, the Scouts in town, and I think this is what we should be pushing forward to. And it'll help the town, and it'll help the Conservation Commission, as I see it, to keep up to their mission statement at the beginning of their webpage. So, with that said, I think that puts an end to it.
So final vote is 3 yes, 2 no.
3 yes, 2 no.
I'm gonna disconnect now, Rick, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Done?
Done?
Okay.
Okay. And on that note, if there's no other,
I have one.
Oh, wait, no, we have correspondence to go over. This is the letter
Correspondence?
I sent you guys.
Okay.
Yep.
And I have one too. Not a
Thank you
lot.
for coming in tonight, folks.
thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, Tom.
Yeah, no problem, anytime. Yes.
What's the matter, Andy? You in shock?
Just let the crowd
Yeah,
clear and,
he's gonna,
you know.
he'll just
If
think
you don't
about
mind, I'm just gonna say for a couple minutes, collect myself.
No, no problem.
I have one thing. So
Are we down to other business and correspondence?
I thought you had correspondence.
We're still in there, I believe.
Yeah.
Still-
You mentioned correspondence.
Yeah, no, I sent you guys some stuff, and I don't know if you just wanna note it, leave it, and talk about it next time, I'm just saying. One
The
of-
three emails that came in at like 5 o'clock?
Yep,
I
Yeah.
didn't see him.
Yeah, let's hold off on those.
okay.
Okay.
One of them was, I really want you to look at is the one about East Shore Drive,
Yep.
okay? It came from the assessor. Just take your time and read that, I think that is,
I think that
Speaks
could-
volumes.
it does, and I think there's some things we need to address.
Well-
But take it, do your homework, and we'll
I
go from there.
can,
We'll talk about it next time when
Well,
all
this-
5 of you are here.
under other business, I'm glad you said that. There was something brought up at the planning board the other night about how the, well, you were here for part of Naomi, but it was for the board's edification, about how East Shore Drive is considered to be like a private road, and the road committee or the
There's an association.
association committee has the final say on that, and that seems to be a general consensus. It got a little heated the other night, and I kind of,
Heated amongst the board members or heated?
oh, no, the public over this, and it's had to do with the short-term rentals. and
So
some
let's
of that.
talk about that for 1 second.
Yeah,
So the gentleman, one of the gentlemen that spoke tonight,
and public comment.
in public comment, talked about rentals.
Rentals, yeah.
Okay, so there's been this back and forth with Airbnbs and everything else. So the planning board for 3 months have looked at what they can do. And it's now almost upon us for the, to start doing zoning amendments, okay? The zoning amendments, as you heard Chief Moore, there's nothing they can do to police it. So the chair and vice chair of the planning board, with my permission, met with town council to discuss other avenues versus a zoning amendment. So the other avenue they came up with, which I'm happy to forward you, is a draft of a town ordinance, but it's a rental ordinance. There's some stipulations of more protection, I guess, but I'm gonna share it with you and we'll go from there. We'll have conversations about it.
Andy?
At some point, it's nothing we need to do tomorrow. I think you need to think about it. I understand property rights, I understand a lot of it. But, you know, when you have a certain rental size home, and your septic system is so big,
That's so small.
how do you sleep, or, right. So if you've got a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house, how do you sleep 10 to 20 people?
And open it up for, yeah.
And, you know, things like that. So there was avenues in there for the protection of, because if the septic system goes bad over there, it's gonna be a total health issue for everybody.
Go in the water.
You know what I mean? So I think it's something we need to look at. You know, there's emotions either way. It got very emotional the other night. It got between neighbors, and that's when we were gonna close the meeting. But Craig did say that it was nothing they were gonna put in zoning. So what I'll do is I'll send you all the draft of the rental, and it's nothing we have to do tomorrow. We're right in the middle of budget season anyway. You guys, if it's gonna be a town ordinance, doesn't go to zoning, you guys can do it anytime. You can amend it, all it takes is a public hearing. But before you decide either way, let's see how it's written. Laura spent some time doing it. I'll share it with you, and that where you understand where some of the comment came.
So correct me if I'm wrong, this whole issue on East Shore, is it stemming from
Well, it's not
parking issue, or is it stemming from a concern about septic?
a whole bunch.
'Cause I've
I
heard
think
two
it's
di- I've
both.
heard two
I think
different
it's
issues.
both from, it depends on who you talk to.
It's, some of it's that, some of it's not only on East Shore, but it's also over on Winter Road.
Could be on the backside, yeah. It's
Backside,
all,
there's-
it's basically
There's a
around.
whole, bunch of stuff that's all of a sudden come out, and it's getting to the point where, you know, part of it was like parking, part of
Yes.
it's noise, part of it's.
Yes, same conversation,
Yeah.
Okay.
same people,
Some of the same people.
area,
There's
some
a-
of the same people, yeah.
A couple new ones popped up the other night at the.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I have to see the paperwork, but I've kind of already got an opinion on it, but I want to see paperwork.
Right, and,
I want to
and,
see what the opinions you have are.
yeah, no, and she drafted an ordinance for you to look at. But again, I mean, I think the intention or the assumption might have been that we were gonna talk about it tonight. But, I mean, we can do it at any time. It doesn't have to be tonight. It doesn't, we could do it in our lull between deliberative session and town meeting.
And still get it
You know what I
done.
mean? And still do everything. It's just something I wanted, just because it was brought up in public comment. I just think that you guys should know, because you probably had no idea what he's talking about. Right. So,
And one gentleman that brought some of that up at public comment is the same one, I don't know if you were on the board, that we had to go look at for the width of the road because of a turnout for the fire department, because of the way he built his house.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's the same gentleman. I don't think John was on the board at the time.
No.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
No.
So that,
Yeah, so, and I didn't mean to, you had
That's
something you were
okay,
gonna
so you
bring
had
up.
something?
Just, I got an email from Sylvia Beaupre, and she'd like to know why we haven't opened the town hall up, because the older group of people in town would like to go back to doing yoga. And I said, you know, I think
plumbing.
Well, it's not just plumbing,
Well, one
you
thing.
guys have to take a look at things.
Yeah.
Because we can rent it, and you've put a fee on to clean it, but how are you gonna put the sanitization?
Well, who's going to clean it?
Well, that's, I mean, part of me, I'm just gonna tell you where it's from. It's not uncommon for someone to want it Friday, want it Saturday, want it Sunday. And sometimes it can be 2 on Saturday, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. So we open it up, there's still a whole lot of variance out there. How do we know somebody ahead of them cleaned it without sending one of us in between to make sure it got cleaned and sanitized?
Well, even then, how can, I can't tell if this desk was sanitized.
I'm sure it wasn't.
So, no, but that's my point is,
Yeah.
even if we put in a $50, $100, $200 cleaning deposit, whatever, we have no way of knowing, like you said, what was
And
done.
it's like this
Who's gonna-
afterwards.
But who's gonna be responsible for it if something happens? Somebody, you know as well as I do, in this climate anyway, in this
They're
day
gonna
and
go
age.
after big,
period.
deep pockets.
They're gonna go after who they think's got dip, oh, I got COVID because I was at that meeting, or I got this because I
can't
was
prove
at
it,
the town, you know, well,
Yeah.
you don't have to.
Well,
proof,
so-
if they take you over the hurdles, it's not the proof on them, it's the proof on us that we did it.
Okay,
That's where
so
it goes.
to answer that, or to question that, if you will, has any business in the country been sued or gone after and lost because COVID was acquired at their business or venue?
There's been lawsuits brought forth on that.
I haven't watched.
I don't know if they've won, but
I
there's
mean,
been
we got the-
lawsuits brought forth to companies and.
Well,
and-
if that is a genuine concern, and that is one of the primary sticking points, I think that'd be a good question for our legal to look into. To see if there has been any losses, if you will.
I don't know if there's been any losses, but I know there's been cases brought forth. You never hear the outcome. so-
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if there was, then there's gonna be case law on it, I would imagine.
But I mean, we got the library open, people are in and out of that all day long.
But it's staffed, so
It's
people
staffed.
can.
We don't have anybody staffing it. That's the other one.
If
This
we-
place is staffed.
If we had a cleaning crew,
somewhat.
that would be a whole lot
Okay, so
different.
the heat must have just come on because I could smell it.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, we
Yep,
have
it
to
just came up.
Yeah.
shut the
Is
It's
windows.
because the windows.
Ooh,
Or
she
else it's
run
going
for
out the
nothing.
window. I can smell it.
Yeah, we just had $50 go out the window.
Too bad
that
they don't
propane or
set-
oil?
set it at like 68
This is
degrees or
oil.
something.
Yeah.
When-
so-
when
I
they
mean,
leave
So
at
I
night.
hear what you're saying.
I'm just,
I don't know what the answer is, and I guess I can ask.
Yeah.
It's just, it's gonna require somebody, because you are asking them to pay a cleaning fee. And we run into this before we even charge the cleaning fee, is that, well, the person before me did this, 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 and this. And the person before me didn't clean this, and didn't take the trash, and didn't do this. So, I mean, if you wanna open it for one day of a weekend, maybe we could start that way, but
So if we're gonna do that, I'd like to go ahead and see if we can find a cleaning company we can contract to come in on a Monday. So if we, say we do have a weekend event or a Saturday event or something like that,
Well,
keep
they'd
it
be
closed,
under the
only
clean.
one per weekend, and then we have a cleaning company
and
come
who
in.
pays for the cleaning company?
They will.
It would have to be, well, we
Yeah.
gotta figure out what the price is too.
The
Well,
renter.
I
But
do,
yeah.
I mean, I know of a business that at the height of things was having somebody come in, I could see. And that was the organic, it wasn't, it was a clean, it was a
Green type
green
cleaning.
type
yep, that's what
thing.
they call
And
it.
I don't know what that cost, but they were coming in every other day or something
Yeah.
and spraying stuff down.
It may be worth looking into, see what the price is, let's figure out what the price of getting a cleaning company in first, over how many intervals and things like that, and then
So-
rediscuss.
So if you hold, I think we've got some changes to the cleaning contract anyway.
Okay.
That you'll see in the next 2 weeks.
I mean, where have they been doing yoga now?
they haven't been
Oh, they
since we shut, that, yeah. And it's the 65 and older that were doing it over there. It's not the, people in there for a reception.
Who's
or-
running it? Who's running the,
I'm not sure who was doing it. If you want to know the truth, I never went.
well, as long as they meet all the other requirements of
It's-
insurance
No,
and so
Jack brings
forth.
up a
I mean,
good
it's
point,
an
is
older
the liability on the town, but
Yeah.
going back.
Plus, they gotta have, whatever this group is, seniors, it's gonna.
Yeah, it's all seniors, yeah.
Whoever's gonna
Somebody's gonna
run
have to-
it,
if-
someone's gonna have insurance.
Somebody's gonna have to have insurance.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
we're
I don't
not-
know anything about the
We're
group.
not, we're not falling back into that trap like we did before with the weightlifting and
Well, yeah,
Everything else,
all
yeah.
that other stuff like that over there.
yeah.
Yeah, but
I
maybe
just
we can
brought
open
up.
it to once a week if we can find it.
Well, yeah, I gotta,
company.
I'm just gonna call someone to fix, all we did was shut the water off over
Yep.
there to
The
fix
leak,
it.
yeah.
We gotta fix the leak
Yeah, we gotta get it ready to winterize it too.
and, right, and winterize it, or whatever we're gonna do. Set the heat at a certain price.
It's winterized now, there's no water.
Well, no, we just shut the water off so it wouldn't
Yeah.
run. I mean, yeah, we've had a few people ask that question, but I'm not sure what the answer is.
I don't know. I said
I
I'd bring
just
it
would
up
hate to
tonight.
see us do something wrong, but at the same time, Karen and I and Beth can't run over and check somebody's clean. And the idea of my clean's not somebody else's clean, and then you get in a match with them over getting their deposit back or not, and you're pointing in every direction.
Yeah.
So,
And I think if they don't, I don't think it'll be a deposit, you're gonna pay a cleaning fee, period. I think that's
but we
what
need
it's
to come
gonna
up with a
be.
realistic
We have to come up with a
number. Yeah.
realistic
Yeah,
point,
because-
Which I can contact, I know this person, I can ask them,
Yep.
and there may be others out there.
Yeah, I haven't.
Find out.
And I know there was some changes as far as, you're gonna see some changes as far as cleaning, because we haven't really gone out to bid for cleaning. the town hall was really, and Benji, she added an extra day and kind of kept things really minimal, but it doesn't, it needs to be a little
We have to be more thorough,
It
yeah.
needs to be a little more,
Yeah.
so the other things I just sent you, as John said, at 5 o'clock, you can review it. I don't need to
Yeah.
go over anything more than, I did send this, Francistown Road one to Benji as well. You guys probably saw that, Robin.
Well, he'll
And
be
we'll go
fit
from
to
there.
Died on that.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
What?
He did
And
that,
actually,
making us sue us.
I know it's
Oh, yeah.
early,
It's
but
coming.
if you don't mind, could we just, talk about something in non-public for, I guess, just C at the moment?
Okay.
It'll be quick, I'll
Okay.
honestly.
Make a motion, we go into non-public under RSA 91A, Roman numeral 2C. And after that, I made the motion, we have a second.
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 All those in favor, roll call vote?
Yes.
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 And after
You'll adjourn
that,
after?
we will be adjourning. And thank you very much, and have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.